Hey guys, this is One Clue, and you're listening to One Clue Podcast. Today I have Moby with me, who's the CEO and founder of Boring Protocol. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate taking the time to chat with me today.
Absolutely amazing. So, talking about you and talking about Boring Protocol, do you mind to briefly introduce yourself and sharing a little bit about your background?
I'm from Moby Dick. I'm kind of I guess you could say a veteran of crypto, if there is such a thing. Been involved in crypto since 2015. Been through a couple market cycles now. Don't really consider myself an expert, but I love the space. I love learning about it, and I love exploring it from a user's perspective. The background that kind of brought it was my time in the military. I got to work on some pretty interesting hardware on F-18 platform for the U.S. Navy. So got a little taste of what encryption is and the instrument that could be, the tool that could be for people. So kind of started out just learning about Satoshi and reading books, talking with people on crypto Twitter, and that kind of set the tone for the last 7 years. And I've always had a unique interest in building something within crypto. It's pretty obvious there's a lot of opportunity to do that, and that's going to continue to be the case for quite a while, I think. So um, last year. Hooked up with some longtime crypto Twitter friends and made some new ones, and we kind of dove into the VPN market. VPNs are interesting tool for the internet browser to use, and I can talk a little bit about what those are. But went into the VPN market and did some competitor analysis and did some just overall market analysis of traditional VPNs and felt like we could build something that was better than what existed through the traditional VPN space and through DVPNs, which is kind of a newer subset of that market. And overall, looked at the as I said, the opportunity within crypto and then the opportunity within this traditional VPN market, and that led us to Concept Boring. So
Amazing.
here we are. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, here we are a year later and making some great strides, and it's just really exciting. So
Great. Okay, you talked a little bit about VPN, and your company is all about VPN. So let's talk a little bit about VPNs. What are those in general? So just briefly, quick thing about it.
yeah, so a VPN is a tool for, as I said, an internet browser to log on and access content on the internet and do that privately through encrypted server. And it's a huge tool for just your average everyday internet user for their own privacy and their own security. And then for the crypto community as well, it's a pretty instrumental thing to have when you're talking about digital currency and having, in some cases, extensive wealth that's online that you need to secure against potential threat vectors.
Hmm. Amazing. And speaking about this, and probably most of our listeners will already know this, that there are some big companies out there that are advertising their product or their VPN service really often, and but this will always face like an issue of having most of the VPN service only being used for geocaching or geochanging. But speaking about something in the crypto space and having something like that is really in use case for people and maybe getting into something like decentralized,
Mhm.
what's actually like the importance of having something or such a service decentralized?
So, a lot of the conversation around crypto is decentralization, just distributed networks, just decentralization, and the anti-fragility that comes along with that, right? So, when you talk about a centralized service, you're talking about central points of failure, and sometimes that is the hardware or the service itself, and then other times that is the entity that runs that particular service, right? So when you talk about centralized VPNs, you're talking about a central hub that takes users' traffic when they log onto the VPN. They take that traffic and route it through these central servers, which you've got the actual physical servers being. I guess there's certain. How do I want to say this? There's potential for those centralized services to go down for that server where maybe if it's in a warehouse or whatever, there's potential for that service to go down. And then you also, we mentioned entities that run these services. Um, they have a face and they're run by people, and because of that, authoritative bodies can target them and they can coerce those particular entities into divulging user info that really is what it is exactly what they're supposed to be protecting, right? So you have a lot of these companies, these traditional VPNs, as you said, that are out there advertising, and one of their advertising points is that they do not keep logs of user data or user traffic. When in fact that's exactly what's happening. They're keeping all of this cached, and under certain conditions are giving that to not only authoritative bodies but other entities that may seek profit off of that information. So
Yeah,
when
really big threat thing in the internet space and crypto space overall, right?
correct, yeah, and
Basically brought you up to Burn Protocol, right?
yes. So, as I mentioned, is centralized or distributed. We don't have that central. We don't have any infrastructure ourselves, so we're not controlling these server banks that are processing all this traffic. We have what's called the motherboard node, and we have people that are running these nodes on our network. So when you as a customer or a VPN user log in, you're going through a residential node in most cases somewhere, and we don't have any control over that other than how the VPN architecture is and the settlement layer, which we can get into later. And eventually, our goal is to have no control over any of it. We want it fully autonomous and governed by the community of users that are utilizing this service.
Oh, great. So speaking about logging into your service and gonna be able to use your VPN that your company or the entities, the nodes that are providing the access to the VPN service that you provide, how as a user are you gonna be able to use it? Do you have like a phone app or a program on your PC? How's this gonna work?
So currently, it's an internet, a web browser, or not a web browser, a web page that allows you to access the network. And we're in a testing phase, so only the people that are operating nodes can actually use the VPN service. But in the very near future, potentially at the end of this year, 2022, we're looking at having a mobile application for the general public to be able to log on and use the service. And one of the really cool things about this, and I know we didn't touch on it earlier. With the advantage of decentralized over centralized is we operate through a cryptocurrency called the BOP token. So with our product, you'll still have the option to pay like a traditional VPN with a credit card or a fiat payment on ramp. But you'll also have this added layer of privacy in being able to log in with a crypto wallet, which is, as many may already know listening to this, is just a 32-digit alphanumeric public key. And the advantage of that is pretty obvious over a credit card where you're giving personal identifying information, your name, your address, whatever it may be. So you're going to have those two options, and that allows us to, further protect our user and still access the side of the market that is, maybe not as familiar with crypto and still using credit cards. So
Yeah, that's amazing, really. And to having people like getting into this and getting a feeling about what decentralization or privacy even means is really huge. And I think there's a really big potential for this, especially speaking about how things are going nowadays, that big companies are tracking everything about you. It's a really interesting part. But may I ask you one last question? Speaking about Barn Protocol and the facts that you already presented, what differs you from competitors, or are there even any other companies out there that are trying to do the same?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, with our early days of market analysis, there are some very direct competitors within the crypto space that are building these decentralized VPNs or DVPNs, and they're doing a really great job. I feel like there are certain user-facing features that are left out of some of those, and there is a lot of opportunity to go above and beyond, privacy with a VPN. We have the opportunity to educate people. Number one, we have the opportunity, not just educate them in regards to privacy, but in regards to crypto and the advantages of digital currencies. And then, as I said, those user-facing features. We want to really make sure that people are secure online. As the online community grows, so too does opportunities for bad actors to take advantage of people, and that's a pretty growing concern from people that are online. So you can expect with that, there's got to be some balance. There's got to be the other side of that equation, and that's us. We're going to build the tools for people to protect themselves. So I think that really sets us apart from our competitors. And then, I mentioned my time and tenure within crypto. I follow a lot of the ideology of Satoshi and some of the early crypto pioneers. And I do believe, in putting power back in people's hands with their not only their money, but the internet as a whole, their information that they're able to access, and doing that by relinquishing power. And so when I talk about going to fully autonomous and decentralized service, I talk about what's called a DAO, or a decentralized autonomous organization, and that would be a community model that governs and guides boring through the future, so that it's not myself or anyone on the boring team that is strictly able to steer this ship, but it is kind of a democratic process for the people that are using this.
Amazing, and this gives really credential to like the decentralized part about having this in the crypto space. This is really
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep. Yep. It is, and it's going to be a great thing, not just with what we're building, but with the world as a whole. People people being able to access information, as I said, and exercise their rights. And it's pretty near and dear to my heart as someone who appreciates freedom and appreciates what it is that this grants users when it comes in regards to that freedom.
Great, great. Okay, do you have anything else you want to add up to our listeners?
Nope, just want to tell people that if they're interested in what it is that we're doing, there are resources and there's a community out there that can catch them up to speed, get them more information, answer their questions, and if need be, educate them on what it is that we're doing and what it is that we're going to be doing in the future. So,
Amazing. Okay, I have to thank you. Thanks for taking the time for being here. And I hope to all of our listeners that this was a good explanation of what Bearing Protocol is. And see you on the next one. Thanks.
absolutely anytime. Thank you.